In this video, we will cover recognizing the difference between importing and linking Revit models and DWG files. When working in Revit, there are several options for linking and importing various file formats. To see these options, switch to the Insert ribbon. In the Link panel, you can see tools for linking various file formats. Most of them are self-explanatory. Some of them are not. For example, linking topography allows you to link a topography from another Revit model. Decals work with images, and then when linking coordination models, you can link NWD or NWC files. Similarly, when importing files, you have some options for importing. Let's take a look at the difference between importing and linking. In the Import panel, I'll click Import CAD. In the Import CAD Formats dialog, I'll select the ArchLink DWG file, and then you can see several options for importing the file. Current View Only will import only the current view. If you deselect this option, then it will import any 3D data that's in the CAD file. You can then control the colors and the layers. If you were working with another file type, then it would be levels. But in this case, we're working with layers in the DWG file, and you can choose to import all of the layers, only those that are visible, or you can choose to specify, and then a dialog will open and you can choose which ones. I'll select all, and then for import units, I'll select Auto Detect. And then in the positioning dropdown, you can choose the positioning. And we'll touch on this more in a moment. For this example, we'll select Center to Center, which will place the CAD file, the geometric center of the CAD file at the geometric center of the Revit model. The Origin to Origin would place the origin at the origin of the Revit model. For this example, we'll select the Center to Center. And then these last two options are not available for this import, but there are some other options such as correct lines that are slightly off axis. If there are some lines that are slightly off axis, Revit will correct them. Next, I'll select Open and we will import the CAD file. At this point, I can select it, and you can see that there are several options on the contextual ribbon. And one of those is Explode. And so when you have an imported CAD file, you can actually explode it, and then it will be broken down into its various lines and arcs and whatever else may be in that CAD file. And so this is actually not something that you'd want to do, in my opinion, only in special circumstances maybe. But then also when I click or type VV to open up the Visibility Graphic Overrides dialog and switch to the Imported Categories tab, you can see the imported DWG file, and you can see all of the layers that have been imported. And so those are now imported into the project. And you can control the visibility and line graphic overrides here. I'll click Cancel and then click Undo. And next we will link the link the DWG file. So on the Insert ribbon in the Link panel, click Link CAD. And this opens the Link CAD Formats dialog, which looks pretty much exactly the same as the dialog for importing. And so I'll select the same one, the ArchLink DWG file. And then once again, we have the same options here. And I'll select Current View Only. And we'll leave all the options the same. I'll do Center to Center again. And notice that this time, though, we do have a By Shared Coordinates option. And so when you link CAD files, you can choose to link by shared coordinates. But this time I'll select Center to Center again, and then click Open. Now, as long as Select Links is enabled, I can select the linked CAD file, and you'll notice that Explode is not available because this is a linked file now. And I can control the shared coordinates, And then if I open up the Visibility Graphic Overrides dialog, I can still control the layers. I can control the visibility and then any graphic overrides that I want to add for the line styles. I can do that. But in this case, the layer they're not imported, so there's a kind of a separation, if you will, since it is linked, and so everything is not imported into your project. And so that is the nice thing about linking, is that it'll maintain a link and not just import everything into your model. Also, if anything updates in the linked CAD file and you save that file, and then when the link reloads, you'll see it here in the Revit model as well. I'll click Undo, and then we will take a look at linking Revit models. So once again, on the Insert ribbon in the Link panel, click Link Revit. And I'll select the archlink.rvt file. And when you're linking Revit models, there's really just one option other than selecting the file, and that's controlling the positioning. Once again, there is a center-to-center option, and this will place the geometric center of the Revit model at the geometric center of the host Revit model. The internal origin to internal origin option will place the internal origin of the link at the internal origin of the host model. And so this is nice. So in an MEP workflow, you typically want to use either the origin to origin or the project base point to project base point. And the reason is that you can match up those origins, and then you can acquire the shared coordinates. And then you really have 2 points of reference that will be the same between your host model and the linked architectural model. So once again, internal origin will match up those internal origins. And then by shared coordinates will be available as long as the coordinates have been shared. And so in the workflow that I just described, if you link an architectural model and then you acquire the coordinates, it will acquire those shared coordinates. And then if there was a structural model that also had acquired those coordinates, then you could link it by shared coordinates. If they didn't have the same shared coordinates, then you wouldn't be able to use this option. And then the auto project base point to project base point will match up the project base point, just similar to the origin to origin. And then there are manual options for you to manually place it using one of those points. I'll select the internal origin to internal origin and then click Open. And then Revit will read the file and link it in. And you can select it and make adjustments as needed.